My husband and I met Michelle at a presentation at the Hilton Hotel a number of years ago. It was about senior finances, suggestions about how you can protect yourself and make sure that you know what options are available to you as a senior. She was dressed exquisitely, and she was very soft-spoken, and she referred to her grandmother quite a bit, and how that her love of her grandmother is what prompted her or motivated her to try to be doing good things for seniors and to protect seniors. And she made you feel like you were the most important person in the world, and that she was there to be your friend. And my husband and I went home saying to each other that we trusted her. We believed that this was a good person and that what she was saying was on the level. We thought if we wanted to do something, we would certainly consider doing it with her. Then she talked about investment, but she told about a new venture, a film. Well, of course, I'm an actress, so it piqued my interest. And she told who was going to star in this film, and it was a very well-known actor who was a big star of a television series at the time. And she told us the company that was going to be guaranteeing that the film would be made, and she told us all these things about how there were going to be all these safeguards. We believed everything she told us, and we decided to invest in this film. We met with her to sign all the papers and to give her our checks. No matter what was going to happen, we would be getting our principal back. The principal was not going to be touched. But we just had to leave it in for 2 years. And in 2 years, that was going to be the cutoff time. Well, what happened was that after 2 years, we never heard anything. They were still producing the film. Eventually, the film was produced. We decided that it was time to demand our money back. It was well after 2 years had passed. And we went to Michelle's office, which I think at that point was a new office, a very fancy office. And we told her that we needed to get our money back because we had to buy a condominium for our health. By this time, we had received an invitation to an opening of a show, of a stage show. She said, we're very excited because we think this stage show has big possibilities. We're sure it's going to open on Broadway. And we also have some other film projects that sound very interesting. She said, so we decided that it made more sense to use those dollars to make these other things happen, this other film and also this stage play. Well, that was very upsetting because she had no right to do that. Our contract was that we were investing in one movie and that in 2 years we were to receive our principal back. So they had no right to divert those funds to something else. In the meantime, the interest payments stopped. What they had been doing is paying this 10% out of our own funds. The money that we had invested was what they were using to pay us this 10% interest. It was very, very, very disturbing, very upsetting. We were beside ourselves because, first of all, we had trusted this woman. We had thought that she was a real friend and that she had our best interests at heart. When we became involved with attorneys, I got copies of all of these different records and discovered that Michelle had been paid over $1 million in commission. The FBI came to me and they wanted to see all of the materials that we had saved everything. And I had gotten so much stuff when we first sued, they had to release certain things to us. And that's how I knew that she had made $1 million in commission. I had the papers right in front of me. So I turned all that over to the FBI. I also turned it over to the Insurance Commission because she was trying to get her license had been revoked, and she was trying to get her license back. Several of us went to the attorneys, and then she was indicted. One woman lost $1 million, and a couple of other people lost all their life savings. And there are hundreds of us who are willing to testify to that. There are still lawsuits ongoing. There's one very big one, because one woman passed away and her son is pursuing it. Another woman has a son who is seriously disabled in a wheelchair, and that was the money that she was going to use to have a caregiver for him for the rest of his life, and that money was gone. That woman was beside herself. I'm still disturbed to this day, not only by the loss of the money. It made it we had to wait another 2 years or 3 years before we were in a position that we could move into a condo, because the stairs were getting seriously a problem for my husband and I. She's a terrible person, and she's a liar and a cheat, and an actress who convinced us that her intentions were pure and that she cared about us and that everything she did was going to be on our behalf. And so it's a terrible betrayal. She did a crooked thing. She scammed us. She was a fraud, and she did it to a lot of people.